This is my oral brief for my co-op, which I have completed at Crispin Davidson in Gisborne. In this oral brief, I will be discussing my main task, which was transferring Crispin Davidson's clients from MYOB to Xero, and the 3 tasks which were involved whilst completing the transfer, which are manually entering a client's details and trial balance, and transferring the client's fixed assets. My main task at Crispin Davidson was transferring clients from MYOB to Xero. The management team at Crispin Davidson has decided to make the switch to Xero due to the number of benefits that online software such as Xero possesses. Xero stores all of its data up in the cloud rather than on office hard drives. It is user-friendly, which I have found out over the past 9 weeks. It is easily accessible anywhere, anytime from any device, and through the multi-user access, it makes it easier for management at Crispin Davidson to collaborate online with clients of Crispin Davidson. And by April 1st of this year, Crispin Davidson aims to be fully transferred to Xero. The first of the 3 tasks involved in transferring clients from MYOB to Xero required me to manually input clients' details into Xero based on their MYOB details. Xero required this information in reporting for the end-of-year financial statements and to meet requirements for general purpose financial reporting, which states that a report should comply with the New Zealand framework and accounting standards and meet the information needs common to existing and potential investors, lenders, and other creditors who are unable to command the preparation of reports tailored to satisfy their information needs. Certain theories I had learned from my major applied to this task, such as the use of input controls when inputting data into a system. Input controls are designed to detect errors or irregularities at the time data is first entered into the system. One-for-one checking is required whilst inputting the data into the system, as some data items are so critical that they need to be checked manually to ensure they have been inputted. I used certain input controls, such as one-for-one checking and using a pencil to tick off data as I inputted it. I also used a ruler to ensure I was putting in the correct data from the correct line, and I created my own checklist to tick off processes as I completed them. The theory acquired from my major was relevant to this task, as I was able to apply it to the steps in entering data into Xero, and it helped me understand the need for input controls and to ensure data entered was accurate. The second task was manually entering a client's trial balance into Xero under the tab Conversion Balances. A trial balance is a list of all the general ledger accounts contained in the ledger of a business. Through entering this data in, I was able to prepare the statement of profit and loss, the statement of movement in equity, and the balance sheet. Once again, I used input controls such as one-for-one checking to ensure the data entered was correct. There was also a number of theories I learned from my major that applied to this task, such as the use of controls to manage who enters the client database on the MYOB to retrieve information about clients, and that organisations need to ensure that the users of the system are aware of security threats and risks associated with a breach of the system. When I first started at Crispin Davidson, I was given my own unique username and password to enter MYOB, and I was spoken to about the importance of clients' information and that data is one of Crispin Davidson's most valuable resources, and protecting it was very important, as a breach of security could have a detrimental effect on Crispin Davidson's operations. In entering the client's trial balance into Xero, I always check the date of the trial balance as being for the year end 31st of March 2014 and not the year end 31st of March 2013, as my supervisor had told me we were only entering in the financial year of 1st of April 2013 to 31st of March 2014. Any years before that held no relevance to the users of the financial reports, as in the financial reports we only compare the current year and the previous year's financial statements. Some clients' financial years ended in different periods, such as 31st of June or the 31st of December, and it was my job to identify this and assure I was entering in the correct trial balance for the correct year. If I did make the mistake of entering in the wrong trial balance, then when I checked the financial reports provided from MYOB with the reports of Xero, then they wouldn't match, and the information provided to the users of the financial reports would be irrelevant. The process of checking the financial statements of Xero against the statements of MYOB was another control process that I used, which ensured I hadn't missed an item on the trial balance. Once I had finished entering the trial balance into Xero, I had to make sure that the debits matched the credits. The theory I had learnt from my major about the double entry principle, which is when there is a credit entry and a debit entry made for a single transaction, enabled me to understand this process. And I knew that if I was unable to make the credits and the debits balance, then it would make it difficult for Xero to accurately prepare financial statements. For the majority of the time, or the majority of the reason for the unbalancing was due to unpresented checks, which is a check that has been drawn by the payer but not yet paid by the bank, which results in a time lapse of recording the transaction. For me to make this balance the debits and the credits, I had to create my own code for an account called unpresented checks and make the entry to this account which balanced the credits and the debits. In preparing the financial statements, Xero requires the coding of different items to be precise. Through coding of different items, Xero is able to manage different items into the correct statement of which they belong. Through my knowledge gained from my major, I was able to successfully identify the nature of the items as being a revenue, expense, asset, liability, equity, direct cost, and I created many codes for these. Codes are important means for the application system to identify the subject of the data entry, and if they are entered wrong, processing will be inaccurate and items will be in the wrong statements. The final task of transferring a client from MYOB to Xero was transferring their fixed assets. We did this through a fixed asset import, which involved me exporting a client's assets from MYOB to Excel and then formatting the fixed asset schedule to Xero's requirements, which included coding for the depreciation accounts and ensuring there are purchase dates for each of the assets, so that depreciation could be calculated using either straight line or diminishing value. Once all the fixed assets had been registered, I had to do a fixed asset reconciliation to ensure that the asset register matched the balance sheet. If there was a difference, such as an understatement of motor vehicles and an overstatement of buildings, it was my job to correctly change it on the balance sheet. In conclusion, in completing the 3 tasks of converting clients from MYOB to Xero, I've been able to gain a better understanding of the accounting process, and I have been given an insight into the accounting firm's operations, which has been a great experience and has helped me to develop my skills in the accounting industry. For Crispin Davidson, I believe that the decision to switch to Xero will pay dividends to the firm due to the many benefits that Xero possesses. Thank you.